All right. Looks like we're live now.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I'm waiting for my phone to ring. All right. All right. So, hi, everybody. We're back Saturday. Louis and I, Varouj, we're going to go ahead and start the podcast. It's a little bit late, but recently we've been doing live, as you guys see, because we once we started doing live, well, now we don't have recorded one. We gotta figure that out, how we're gonna do that part. But um, yeah, last time we did it because of Christmas and New Year reasoning. That was really good reason. Now we have to get back to our scheduling, but. Yeah, this is Developing Mindset Podcast. This is number 80. Um, that's a good number, and we've accomplished pretty good size podcast. And we're going to be talking about a bunch of things this week because um, let me close this. Yeah, so as you guys know, like a lot happened in the company, and then we kind of put it together what we go through, and then we talk about that because we want it to be original and very different type of podcast. So everything that goes on, we kind of like look into it, and then we see what parts were interesting or what parts we had struggles and what happened. So we come up with all this content. Hopefully you guys are going to find it interesting, and it's going to help you guys to kind of like see it and listen and kind of watch and see how that applies to you. So yeah, I think we're good. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, welcome back, everybody, to another episode. Yeah, once again, we're doing this episode live for you guys, and yeah, I mean, as always, we're always expecting to be able to share with you guys very valuable knowledge that you guys can use and apply into your own lives, so that you guys can, you know, live a better life or succeed in any particular area of your life. So, without further ado, we can go ahead and get started.
All right. So my number one question is um, very deep, very real and true as well. It's a little bit you're gonna find it a little bit depressing, um, but just listen and evaluate the what is happening here. So maybe you can expect that kind of things happen to you or for you into your life. And so the way the question goes, the difference between stress, anxiety, and joyfulness. One thing for sure, one serves you to get out of situation, and one does not. So this is the thing. So not long ago, if you guys are following the podcast, not long ago uh, we've lost a team member here, and now we have one that is pretty sick, and she's in hospital, and it's making us kind of like go through a lot of you know how it is, like you ask yourself why, what's going on, why it's happening like that, and it's making everybody go really down and depressed, and um, but we are troopers, and we're uh, chugging along, and we're doing okay. So I that got me start thinking about what is really happening. As we know, there's a stress level, there's anxiety. This kind of situations brings about, and then definitely the joyfulness will disappear. There is no more. Like people are not up to having a little bit fun or talk about fun things. And I just wanted to like say this, the difference between what is the stress, what is joyfulness, which is, when, as you guys know, fight or flight, when that happens, you have to protect yourself. When you get into stress and anxiety mode because you want to save yourself from something happening, And obviously the joyfulness is not going to serve that moment. It's not, no one uses that kind of attitude or you know, what is that like, that kind of mood, like. And so that's the difference between, you know, when things start going not your way, you're gonna kind of like start stressing about it, and you know, anxiety level goes up. So that's kind of like what happens when you're trying to save yourself from something, anything. Definitely, that's why I said here that when situation rises, um, you definitely don't use joyfulness, or any type of that kind of feeling towards, you know, like saving yourself, or like bringing yourself out of that kind of uh, mindset. So, yeah, I mean, let me see how you're gonna explain this. Maybe we can talk about it for a minute.
Yeah, so stress and anxiety and joyfulness. So yeah, I mean it's something normal, right? That that when you're going through something that's that can be a little bit intense, um, deep, and like just serious, that there isn't that much of joyfulness in the equation there. And then things like stress and anxiety, like we're talking about here, are pretty much bound to impulsively sort of arise. And so I think do they serve you? Of course. I mean, I think it really comes down to perspective, because these emotions will come. uh there's really no really
Stop.
stopping them, or like, I mean, you can do certain things to prevent putting yourself in situations that can cause such things. But there's a lot of things in this world that are really out of your control. And so stress and anxiety can come to you at any second. And so I think perspective is a good way to approach that, but also embracing those emotions as well, and just accepting the fact that you feel that way at first, and not try to really repel that with maybe something more on the opposite end, like joyfulness, because it might be something also that you might want to do impulsively. Like when you're not feeling good, you might just want to feel the opposite of that, which you might want to just feel joyful, feel great, feel amazing, right? But the reality is that perhaps you're in a situation where you might not be able to feel that way that soon. You might have to take a series of steps before you can even get out of this stressful or anxious situation. And sometimes you can't even do anything about it. It's just out of your control, and so you just have to be patient in that case. And so
Hmm.
then that's when patience becomes something that it's it can be very helpful. But in order to really get there, you have to embrace the way you feel right now, accept it, and then move forward from that. But like, definitely, you could only do that if you use the right perspective and you see stress and anxiety as something that's normal, that's bound to happen. And really yeah, but that's pretty much.
Yeah. So one thing I wanted to add to that is, when your stress level, anxiety level is up, you have certain hormones that it's running through your system, which is what was the uh, hormone? The cortisol.
Yeah.
So cortisol is running through your system, and that's very toxic. So anytime you find yourself that you're like really stressed, and like really anxiety level is high, the cortisol is running through your system. And that's what I remember is, like, after 30 minutes of that, it starts poisoning you, kind of like. That's a very toxic. You're probably going to feel it on your in your tongue, like that bitter feeling, like, and
Yeah.
that's what it is. And so you have to remember, when you get into that kind of situation, even though you can't help it, like you said, you have to remember to kind of calm yourself down, whatever, however you can do it. And obviously you're not going to find the joyfulness, but you have to be able to find peace and you got to go somewhere quiet your mind for a minute, and then when you get back to that kind of situation, it's probably bound to happen again. But yeah, so that's what I wanted to say. Just be careful from stress hormone. Um, Anything?
Yeah, no, that was pretty much it.
Yeah. All right. Next one is another thing we're working on here, which is like, should you do one or should you do two different fronts? Okay. So basically, what we're doing here, and a lot of people do it too. Is it okay? Is it good? Is it not? I don't know. Let's talk about it for a minute and see if that's what's happening to you. So what we're doing here is like we're working on two different website, two different fronts, and sometimes it's not an ideal thing to do. Um, but once you start something, you don't know when to stop or where to turn back. Should you do that? I don't know. It's up to you. But and in a little bit of time, those two different things, whether it's two different cars or two different websites, two different whatever, it becomes your like first child, second child kind of thing. And what are you gonna do? You're gonna decide between which child you want to let go. That's not easy. So you gotta work and make them happen, right? You gotta find the time. How do you do that? You probably put a bunch of hours more, bunch of more funds delegated towards whatever you're working towards. Obviously, it's going to take some money, some effort, some time. Time is even more valuable, as you guys know. So we're going through this, and we've been working. Should we do one? The thing that we did, should we do it for one or should we do it for two? All these questions rises, and it's been like the whole week kind of we're going through that, and it's been in my mind up front the whole time, and it hasn't been easy. But the more of the question is, should you let go one of your child if that's what happens, and you got to make a choice there. Yeah.
I don't know about using the analogy of childs, but
Yeah, man. Yeah.
but as far as like two fronts, like I was still trying to understand what you were trying to say with that, because so you're talking about like
Okay, so
like two methods to.
no, two different separate entities, like two different websites, two different cars, two different wives. I'm just kidding. Two different things, and then now you have a dilemma, because it will take a lot of your time and effort.
Okay. So should you do it?
Should you do it or not? Like it's up to the individual to decide, of course.
Yeah.
And why you should, why you shouldn't.
I mean, I guess there's benefits to doing both. Um, and I think it really depends on the person and what you're doing.
Okay, let me tell you one more thing, because the reason I said child, because I was listening to Elon Musk. That's how he described when he was talking about the X, what do you call that? The missile, SpaceX, and Tesla. He was describing like kind of like this. That's why.
Yeah. Okay.
I kind of like took his kind of role way of explaining. Yeah, for him it was like he even said it like it wasn't guaranteed. He didn't know if it was going to work out or not, but he's like, I'm glad it worked out. On the high side, everything worked out really good, but when they were in thick of it, they didn't know if any of the companies was going to survive or not.
Yeah.
So that again, it's a dilemma.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the guy's crazy, man. Crazy guy, but
you gotta be a little bit crazy, no?
Elon Musk, man. But yeah, I mean, he made it work. So, I mean, what can you say? I mean, it works, but I think it really depends on the individual and how much how much belief you have in whatever it is that you're doing. And of course, I'm pretty sure he had some level of intelligence, some level of education as well, that helped him out with getting to where he got to. Of course, I
Yes.
heard he also had he's I'm pretty sure he still is, but his networking abilities are extraordinary. So the guy had a lot of connections before these companies even started. So
True that. But this is one more
No
thing you just
kidding.
reminded me of.
mm,
I said, no kidding.
yeah.
Yeah, he
No
must
kidding.
have had.
So one more thing you reminded me of, which is he was saying, like in the beginning when he was working on a SpaceX, he was saying that he wanted to hire really good engineers and whatever, that in that field. And he was saying that because he wasn't famous, because no one believed him that it was possible,
Yeah.
good engineers didn't come to work for them. All the bad ones came, and then it took him 3 times longer to make it successful. So see, like what is it like you want to spend? Is the money is enough? Is the time is
Hmm.
enough? Do you have the expertise to do it? And all these questions comes up. So that was very interesting, and we're working on the two different websites. I feel like that was very relevant story to kind of talk about it and be like, you
Hmm.
know, when you're doing two things, what do you expect? What do you go through? So yeah. Next one is okay. Should you do people's way or entirely different way? Um, should you do people way? People do stuff, man. And I most of the time I don't agree what people do. Sometimes I say, there's a reason people do it that way. Then again, I entirely I kind of like come to my way of doing because that's the way I understand it. I don't want to do something that I don't understand. That's not going to help me to grow in anything that I'm working towards. And so I would say make sure you have some education about what you're working towards, and don't stop and find people that they are enthusiasts into whatever you are doing, so you can have some kind of feedback from those people. Not that to say you're gonna really do what they say, but you gotta hear some kind of feedback about stuff and gauge your situation. And a lot happens, especially when you are constant doing stuff nonstop. A lot happens, and you gotta do it entirely your way for me. And but then again, you have to have people to help you out with that, and whether hands-on or only by giving you examples, or that kind of thing. So that's the thing I wanted to put out there for you guys, because this is what is happening, and this is what we're going through. And yeah. um,
Yeah. So should he do people's way or an entirely different way? I mean, I don't think there's a problem with you doing things the way other people do it. If you really have no idea what you're doing, or you want to replicate something that perhaps you've seen that actually works, um, I think it's a good starting point. If that's the route you
yeah.
want to go, if you really have, if you're not such a very creative person and you just kind of want to, but you need to produce something, really quick. I think that's a quick way to do it. But I mean, eventually, for the long term, I think you should try to develop your own way of doing things, and develop your own process that works for you. And if it's like a company, develop something that works for your company as well. Something that suits the people that work in that company, and of course, like eventually, like for everything else as well. But yeah, for sure. I mean, that's pretty simple, quite straightforward as far as that goes.
Yeah, I mean, it is simple, but like, believe me, like a lot of people don't find this very simple. It's very, very confusing when you when you want to succeed, and you believe that you are successful, and then once you start doing it, it's so easy to get jaded, man. So easy to start losing faith.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely, like for instance, I wanted to do some work on my car. First thing I did was go educate myself. I went to YouTube, start watching a bunch of videos, how everybody does it in different method, different things. And then once I did it, then I confronted a bunch of um, ways that wasn't working, and I had to figure out how to. And then one thing worked for me was I was able to put more hours to figure out how to do it and then finish it, and then that's how I did it. So you wanna, like, you don't want to give up. That's another thing here.
For sure.
Next one is obviously we talked about in the beginning about as a team here, we're going through a little bit of heartache and anxiety and that kind of thing. So this question is kind of like part of that. Do you do meditation, or what other ways can you take your mind off of situation? Um, yeah, meditation is a really, really, really good thing to do if you learn how to do it. There's a many, many ways of doing meditation. There's not only one way of doing it. Prayer is one that works as good as meditation. But if you don't do prayer, then you have to learn how to shut your brain down and kind of like bring yourself into the, uh, uh, like into your center and find yourself, and then just be that you. And you got to know how to shut your brain off. Those are the things that you need to learn. Sleeping meditation, I find for myself, works really, really well these days. I just go to my bed and put my earbuds and then go to sleeping meditation, and I just follow everything that you hear, and it works really well. So that's one way of doing it. Situations arises all the time. It never ends. It's just part of um, work life, most of it. And if you love helping others, then you're probably gonna find yourself facing this kind of situations. And when you do, you gotta have the tool how to bring yourself back. And that's one of the tool is meditation. And you gotta learn how to take your mind off of it too. So that's one other way. It's not easy. It takes a little time to get to that levels, and the best is to follow. There are a lot of courses. I mean, obviously these days you can't really go any course because of the COVID situation, but YouTube is amazing for that reason. You can utilize that and then learn um, how to work with meditation. Do you do meditation?
Do I do meditation? No, I don't do
You don't
meditation.
do.
No, I don't do
Do you need
meditation.
it or you don't?
I haven't really found to need it just yet.
Good,
So,
good, because I need it almost every night.
um, um, as far as like taking your mind off
Okay,
situations.
tell me how you do it. Maybe we'll learn something new from you. Because you gotta know how to do this stuff, man.
I mean, usually with any particular situation that might get my mind thinking a lot. I usually embrace it, and I just pretty much accept that to begin with. So if I'm gonna be like thinking a lot about a specific thing or something, I pretty much what I do is that I devote a specific amount of time to that specific situation, and I actually think about it. I'm like, okay, let's think. And because one thing I don't really like doing is sort of ignoring things. So like, if there's something obviously in my head right now that's it's crossing my mind constantly. I like to address it, and I like to see, okay, like what can be done now.
Mm.
If it can be addressed, what can I do now? And so I get very logical with the situation and trying to see, okay, what action can be taken. And if there is some action I can take right now, then I go and I take it. And if there isn't, if maybe I have to wait a specific amount of time before I can take an action, then I pretty much just let it go. It sounds simple, but it, it actually took some practice to get into that rhythm of like just being able to let it go if there's nothing really that can be done about it, because at some point it kind of becomes pointless that you're just thinking and thinking about something, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like if it's out of your control, like there's no point in you just overthinking and stuff. And so
Yeah,
that's pretty much what I do there. But also, you gotta have your it's also good to have other things that you can do as well. Have like hobbies and other things that you can focus on. Um, that can be like reading, listening to music, or putting a project together, or something along those lines. There's something that you can go and put your mind somewhere else, where you don't have to necessarily just be thinking about that. Because I think the unless of course you're gonna meditate and you're gonna like not do anything, but if you're not gonna meditate, then it's not a good idea to just sit there like and do nothing, because eventually the thoughts are just gonna collapse on you. And so yeah.
for sure. Yeah, I mean that's very good way of doing what you're doing. For me, it's a little bit different because my mind does not stop. I put myself into um, lot of things that I need to be on top of it. So um, when I go home, my mind doesn't stop. I can't shut it off. It just is so much to think about, to remember, to think about if I did a right call, bad call, what call, and then I need to at one point I need to shut my brain off, man. I can't go sleep if I go sleep because I'm tired, and then I wake up after 2 hours and I can't go sleep. That's messed up. Like next day, I want to come back fresh. I want to do what I do here, and I found sleeping meditation really working right now for now until further ado. But yeah, I mean, like you gotta search what helps, right? You don't know what's gonna help at that moment, depending on what you're going through.
Yeah.
You're probably losing your house. You're probably buying a house. Two different anxiety levels, two different ways of dealing with that thought, and you gotta somehow shut it off and then focus on you, and then come fresh and then tackle it again. You know. So that's what's going on here. Let's go to the next one. Should you distance yourself from people going through hard times, or should you go through hard times with them? So, I mean, one of the team members here definitely, he's having hard time handling it because he's like a father figure, and he's like a lot of things happening around him, and I'm watching him, and I thought this question is very relevant this week because um, what should you do? Like, should you um be friends with anxiety, other people anxieties, or should you ignore it and then be like, it's not my problem. I don't care. Um, it's all entirely up to you as a person. Obviously, um, what is your morals? What is your standing? How do you see this life? And then that's how you're gonna do it. But then again, if you want to do things that requires a lot of components, a lot of other things, you're gonna need people. You're gonna need friends. You're gonna need uh, um, team members. You're gonna need brothers and sisters. You're gonna need stuff, things, because you can do only so much. And so once you become their friend, their father figure, their brother. You gotta continue. It's a work. It requires always to contact these people, always talk to them, and be there for them and stuff like that. So that's entirely up to you if you want to break that relationship situation, or you want to go deeper inside, which gonna get you into definitely some not an easy place. And yeah, I mean, I've been watching and I've been seeing this. It's as a third person, it's very hard to say anything, do anything at this point. Like if I say anything, it might come out wrong, and it's like you don't know. Sometimes you just need a little bit space, a little bit time to work these things uh, uh, out by themselves. And yeah, if you're going through something like that, you definitely need to, again, maybe like just relax, calm down. Don't push, don't do anything that you can do it later, because a lot of times when you do something, you're probably not going to do it correctly, and then it's going to take you a lot more time to fix it, readjust it. So that's what yeah, I think that's what you probably want to do. And yeah, in this situation, I don't know how you handle it. How do you see it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with what you said. I mean, yeah, it's hard, like, what do you do, right? Like, um, yeah, I mean, pretty much, just to paraphrase, pretty much what you said, yeah, to pretty much just be there. I mean, of course, be available. But other than that, I mean, that person might just need their own their own space um, to be able to handle the situation, the way they know best, and whatever it is that they feel at the time that they need to do. Maybe they just need to be alone with their thoughts, with their emotions. Um, then that might just be the best thing you can do for them. And yeah, I mean, I think it depends on the situation, on the person you're dealing with. Maybe that person does need actually somebody who's there with them, who tells them, who says certain things to them constantly. Um,
True.
Proximity, emotional support. So I think it really depends on who the person is and what their needs are. I think it's a good idea that if you care about this person, to ask that person those questions, if they actually need you there or not, and ultimately just let them know that you're available if they need anything, and you pretty much let them be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a support system, right? This person supporting that person, and then he's looking for support too.
yeah.
So yeah, it's crazy like that. Definitely. Let's go to the last question. This week has been really hectic, and obviously, you guys hear in the questions, and it hasn't been very easy. So let's finish with develop your mindset on becoming tough and strong. Oh my God, like tough and strong is pretty not an easy thing to do either. Like it's. There's different kinds of tough and strong. Some people they show their muscle, and then when the shit hits the fan, they're the first to take off. So you gotta emotionally and mentally and physical. It's fine, but you gotta have some like emotional toughness, and so you can hang in there and kind of like go through tough times. It's definitely tough times are gonna be there always, and you gotta kind of like find the way to go through it. And yeah, I think pretty much that's it.
Yeah. So develop your mindset on becoming strong and tough. So yeah, I mean, yeah, like you said, tough times are bound to come. Um, there isn't really much, like I've said, that you can really do about it to prevent those things from happening. So um, the best thing you can do is prepare yourself in anticipation, and in order to do that, you can study, of course, educate yourself, and put yourself in experiences where you can become tougher and a more stronger person. Whether that's you actually proactively going after you know put going after challenging situations for yourself, or perhaps you can put yourself in challenging situations where you go and you help another person that might be going through a challenging situation. You can go in there and make yourself responsible for whatever it is that they're going through, and in order to grow yourself as well. So um, those are some of the things you can do to become a much stronger and tougher person overall. And yeah, I mean, overall, it's going to be a good benefit for you, and of course for the people around you who will be able to feel this off of you, and be able to learn from you, and be able to look up to you as someone who's tough and strong, and that might be something that you can pass on to them, and the people around you can start becoming tougher and stronger because you decided to take that step forward. So yeah.
So, so guys, we finished the questions. All I have to say here is it hasn't been easy, but we've pushing through, and we will. We're all right. Only thing I have to say is, we're not going to live 300 years old. So, whatever you want to do out there, just go and then start, and don't look back. Um, Nothing's easy. No one said it was going to be easy. The struggle is guaranteed, though.
Hmm.
And with that, we're going to close the Develop Your Mindset podcast. And thank you for watching and being here again. Um, Remember, this is a jewelry company, Kabartsi. Um, we have working with websites, and please visit. Let us know what you think about that. And if you have anything in your mind that you would like to see we talk about, just reach out or leave comments down below, and we'll read it and we'll learn. One thing, I've met really good individual. He's a meditation coach. I'm gonna try to bring him over, and hopefully I will. And that would be a very interesting guest for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you very much once again for joining us for another episode here live. And yeah, I mean, as always, it's great to be here with you guys. Social media handles will be down below, so you guys can follow us on social media. Links to our books will be down below as well, so you guys can download the book or listen to the audiobook version of that book. And of course, link to our website where we sell all of our jewelry will be down below as well. Other than that, I mean, thank you very much for watching. Hope you guys learned a lot from today's episode, and yeah, hope to see you in the next one.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.